For today's selection, we brewed it with our standard Coffee Wizard brewing recipe, which you can find in the description of this video. Hey friends, welcome back to Coffee Wizard TV. For today's review, we are featuring a roaster that has become one of our favorites here at Coffee Wizard. We are talking about Thankfully Coffee out of Auburn, Alabama. And the selection we are reviewing from them today is the Gildardo Lopez Pink Bourbon from Colombia. And this specific selection that we are reviewing is in Thankfully's extra light roast profile. Now, Thankfully recommends a rest time between 3 and 4 weeks for their extra light roast selections. And this bag here was roasted September 25th. So today we are just about at the 1 month mark rest. So Thankfully themselves recommend a rest time between 3 and 4 weeks for their extra light roast offerings. And we found with this selection, it was very composed and ready to drink, really on the earlier side of that spectrum. We were getting really, really nice cups out of this one as early as, I want to say 16 or 17 day mark rest. It really started to open up and compose itself. So we were confident enough in the cups we've been brewing of this recently to be able to say, yeah, let's go ahead and do the review today. We have tasted a lot of really, really good pink bourbons this year. It's been a great season for the varietal. And so this was one that we were really excited to try, especially in Thankfully's extra light roast profile, which they don't, it's not something that's always a standard offering on their menus. So we always get excited when we see that they have a selection that they have put on in their extra light profile. So this coffee, this selection, washed process, as is fairly typical when we see the Pink Bourbon varietal. It's just very, it takes nicely to wet processing. And this one really offers pretty much everything that we are looking for when we brew a Pink Bourbon. It has, it definitely has all of the big candy sweetness, sweet sugary pink candy. They have cotton candy on here as a listed flavor note, and that is definitely a major part of the cup, is this sort of red candy sort of sweetness. Cotton candy, bubblegum. Bubblegum was a big tasting note that we found in multiple cups of this coffee. So the aromatics in today's cup, the review cup we have at day 28, cherry blossom was a fairly new aromatic note we found in this cup. But in earlier cups, interestingly, the florals in the aromatics were more pungent, more spicy. In a previous cup, we noted it was more spicy florals. It reminded us more of lilac, which is what we had down for that cup. In today's cup, we had that florality has mellowed out a bit, and it's taken on kind of a deeper, sweeter tone, which reminded us of cherry blossom. We found raspberry in today's cup in the aromatics, which has actually been a major consistent theme for us in the cups we have had of this coffee, in the aromatics, in the flavor. So it's definitely kind of hovering around there. Like, it kind of comes and goes. Honestly, the way we perceived it, sometimes it was more raspberry, sometimes it leaned more into a slightly tart, like kind of cherry kind of vibe, black cherry, that sort of thing. And then at times they were both kind of present, but raspberry was definitely in today's cup in the aromatics. And we also found a non-specific, but just sort of a tropical fruit aromatic kind of vibe going on, which again is something we found in previous cups, which we will get to in a minute. So it was overall the aromatics are sweet, slightly floral, and definitely fruity, which is usually, that we kind of come to expect that when we are cupping a pink Bourbon. You're usually going to find those bright, zingy, sort of red fruits. Now, in today's cup, as far as flavor goes here, we found, it was consistent with the cups we've been having the last 10 or so days in this coffee. Very sweet red candy, pink candy. We have cherry candy down for today's tasting note. Limeade, definitely get the limeade sort of sensation. It's it's definitely sweeter than it is tart or sour lime. So it's a nice, as I said, limeade, very sugary, juicy lime flavor, which is really nice, kind of refreshing, actually. And an interesting sweet basil flavor note that we kind of perceived in today's cup. And I say that that's interesting because that's actually a note we have found in previous cups, but more in the aromatics, this sort of herbal, sweet herbal kind of tone, which honestly, in a way, reminded us at times of a Kenyan origin coffee. Again, back to that sort of red motif, the red fruit. It was there. And another flavor note we have today, again, this was a strong, probably one of the leading notes in this cup we had today was the raspberry. It definitely came back out in the cup. We perceived a lot of raspberry flavor in this cup. And we found the mouthfeel to be, again, fairly typical for a washed pink Bourbon. It was smooth, fairly light-bodied, but also at the same time, slightly sticky, a little bit of density to it. Very enjoyable texture. So for these cupping notes from the brew we had October 20th, 3 days ago, aroma, sweet basil. So again, that came back out in today's cup. So that has been pretty consistent. Black cherry was an aroma note we put down. Again, that's been present. Lemon, which may have just been how we perceived it that day. In the aromatics, sometimes it's lime, sometimes it's more of a kind of tart grapefruit thing. But it's in that kind of sweet, juicy citrus motif. The flavor notes we jotted down for this brew, October 20th, Shirley Temple, which ties back in, right? Cherry, lemon lime soda. So it has had that consistent kind of sweet, sugary note in the cup. Bubblegum again, so that pink candy, red candy vibe has been very consistent in the flavor. We also have raspberry written down as a flavor note from this cup on October 20th. So again, that's been really consistent. Another cup we had, this was actually our first impression cup that we brewed of this selection, dated October 8th. So that was about 2 weeks rested. For aroma, we jotted down spicy florals. So as we mentioned earlier, it was this more kind of vibrant, sharp, floral aromatic that has kind of mellowed down over time to this really pleasant cherry blossom note that we perceived in today's cup. Flavor also, again, guava was what we had down in the first impression cup. So that makes sense. That tropical fruit vibe that's been coming out in the aromatics and in the flavor at times. Lime. So that's really been that's been pretty consistent in most of the cups we've had. And we have grapefruit down. Now I will say this was the first impression cup at 2 weeks rest in an extra light roast profile. So the acidity was definitely a little hotter, so to speak, in that first cup. It has since definitely mellowed down a bit, and it's more of a sweet, sugary citrus acidity, as we said, and as thankfully also has listed that limeade note. So again, think lime, but not sour, tart lime. It's more of a sugary, sweet drink kind of vibe to it. This selection, we have had a couple ones like this that we have reviewed so far this year. It was honestly a tough one to grade, and it's one of those selections we would kind of honestly put in the sort of gray area between an A and A plus. So make no mistake, this was a very enjoyable selection. We had a great time brewing it and cupping it. And so it's going to get overall an A grade. All right, guys, that does it for today's coffee review. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe and stay tuned, and happy brewing.